Happy Friday! I'm coming to you with your agenda for history for the week of, let's see, what week are we going to be at? Let's see, March the 30th through, and the reason I'm going to say through April 6th is because this is the first time you're going to submit a formative, so a major assessment type assignment, which will be due on April 6th. So that's why I'm saying it's through April 6th, even though by the end of next week, I will post the agenda for the following week. Okay, anyway, so here is the deal for this coming week for History of the Americas. All right, so this week you got your teeth sunk your teeth into some notes, and you did section 1 and section 3 of chapter 1. Well, we're going to continue on our journey now. We're jumping to chapter 4 in the included textbook that I sent you last week. I will do my best to remember to put that in there again, even though it's like been there 100 times. But I'll try to remember to include it as well. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to chapter 4. Now, this is all about Latin America, right? Particularly Afro-Latin Americans. Even though it does talk a little bit about other indigenous peoples, it really does focus heavily on Afro-Latin Americans. It's not too terribly long, okay? I mean, it's a little longer than what you read last week. It's the entire chapter. Okay, now you know how to do notes already. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're going to do the notes just like last time, and you're going to submit the notes. I'll have a formative spot for the notes up. And also, if you are keeping track of changes in Canvas, I went ahead today and popped in the actual assessment question, because what I'm wanting you to do is, as you are reading in chapter 4 and taking your notes, I want you to go ahead and be thinking about how you want to approach the formative question, right? And that way, as you're reading, you can already go, oh, yeah. This will really work well. This piece of evidence, I think, will work really well in helping to answer the question, right? And so the exact question is, and I'll go ahead and pull it up here so I read off the exact one for you. It is with standard D in mind. So we're shifting to standard D. Compare and contrast, that's the standard D rubric, how the United States and one country in Latin America, just one country in Latin America, and you'll see the text will go through multiple countries. It has a lot about Brazil, stuff about Cuba, a little bit about Mexico, and things like that. So with standard D in mind, compare and contrast how the United States and one country in Latin America addressed racial inequality. All right? That's the basic question. And it has a little bit of a follow-up here. It says you can talk about any aspect of the struggle for civil rights to do so. So anything they're talking about, if they're talking about the struggles of different racial groups, and if they're forming groups, if they are seeking legislation, if they're doing protests, anything like that. And then, of course, how the country is trying to address it through laws, through political response to political agitation, whatever it is. Now, you've already got a really good background on the civil rights movement in the United States, particularly pertaining to African Americans, though now you've got information on all kinds of other stuff too. So as you're going through the text and reading about the situation in the countries, and what they're doing about it, what the people are doing about it, and what the governments then in turn do or don't do, you can sit there and go, oh yeah, I see a really big similarity here with this that happened in the United States. Oh man, let me take a note of that, because I'm going to want to say that's a similarity. Or, oh man, this was a really big difference here in how, the time frame in which things happened, or how how much impact, court cases or elections had or something like that. Oh, that's a really big difference. Let me take note of that. So that way, as you're reading, you can already know the question and you're planning as you're reading. And so then you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're taking the reading notes that goes in as a formative. You are planning your fummative, right, according to standard D as you're doing your notes. And then once you're done with your notes and your planning, write out your summative, or not summative, of course, fummative, and submit it. Remember, this is going to be according to standard D. So as you're doing this work, one of the first things you might want to do is to go to the course files in Canvas. Go to that same document that has all of the rubrics that we use in History of the Americas, right? And take a look at those. Read through the standard D rubric. Make sure you understand what's happening. It's one of the most kind of straightforward rubrics. It's, how are things similar? Use primary sources to prove it. How are things different? Use primary sources to prove it. One of the good things about this week is the way the text is set up, the chapter set up. A lot of the things it talks about, it will literally say, this was very similar to what we saw in the United States, or this is different than what we saw in the United States. So the text itself is going to help you write this. Now, one of the biggest challenges you're going to face here, because you know how we have to use primary sources for everything. Hopefully with the similarities and differences that you see with the United States, right, and be specific with your examples. Hopefully you've already got some primary source material and previous research that you've done. If not, that stuff's fairly easy to find. There's a lot of information online, very easily accessed to do any research. There is some information, obviously, some specifics that you can use for the different Latin American countries, whichever one you want to choose, but you might have to do a little bit of supplemental research to get some specific examples of what they're talking about. And primaries might be a little more challenging with your Latin American countries, okay? If that is the case, if you're going, oh, I'm doing this research, I'm not finding primaries to be able to back up this part of the Latin America argument. I've got it for the United States, but I can't find anything for Latin America, just because of the nature of the beast of looking for stuff for Latin America. Remember newspaper articles, remember, from the time period, photos, all that kind of stuff work too. But if you can't find primaries, you can use academic secondaries to help supplement that. So instead of having like a primary source for this in the United States, like, oh, well, it was like this in the United States civil rights movement, boom, here's my primary source evidence. And with Latin America, explain it out. But if you don't have a piece of primary source evidence, but you do have a piece of academic secondary source evidence. So that would be like a journal article, from a legit, historian or somebody like that you're able to find and say, well, look, this person who's got academic credibility says this. Pop it in there as if it were a primary, and I'll accept it because, this is a little bit different. I understand that. So as you're doing that, this is the first time doing a fummative virtually. Please, guys, only a handful of you guys are using these daily check-ins that I've got. Use it, guys. If you've got questions about how to lay out this fummative question, right? How to apply that standard D rubric properly, please use it. I'm still going to do our 2 times a day for the Zoom meetings on Mondays and Fridays. I got an additional opportunity in there. Please sign in to Zoom, go into our Canvas, click on that link, and talk to me, and I will talk you through this. All right, so it's a big week coming up, but still you have the week itself to do your reading and your notes, plan out the fummative, right? Do a little bit of supplemental research, and then the weekend to then make sure you have that time to write, because it's due April 6th, which is not this coming Monday, clearly, but it's the next Monday, April 6th at 11:59 p.m., all right? So the notes will be due the Friday of that week, so that would be the 4th, the 3rd, April 2nd, right? Friday, April 2nd. Oh wait, no, I don't think I did that right. So 6th is Monday, 5th is Sunday, 4th is the 3rd. April 3rd is Friday. So Friday, April 3rd, the notes for Chapter 4 reading will be due. And on the 6th, the formative will be due. All right? So I know when I speak about things, sometimes I kind of jump around a little bit. So if you found that, crazy, you don't understand something, what do? Email me or log in during one of those available times, and I'll talk you through it. All right, guys, good luck, happy reading, enjoy history. See you later.